Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The two words tasyai kashtayai are very significant. Everywhere, in every direction, in every heart, and in every atom, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in His features as Brahman and Paramatma. Then, what is the purpose of saying Tasmai Kashtayai? In that direction where Hari is situated. During Hiranyakashipu's time, his influence, that means Hiranyakashipu's influence, was everywhere, but he could not force his influence into the places where the Supreme Personality of Godhead had His pastimes. For example, on this earth, there are such places as Vrindavan and Ayodhya, which are called dhammas. In the dham, there is no influence from Kali Yuga or any demon. If one takes shelter of such a dhamma, worship of the Lord becomes very easy, and resultant spiritual advancement quickly takes place. In fact, in India, one may still go to Vrindavan and similar places to achieve the results of spiritual activities quickly. Tasyai namostu kashtayai yatratma harir ishvaraha yadgatva nanivartante shanta sanyasino malaha itite samyatatmana samahita dhiyo malaha upatashtur harishikesham vinidraha vayu bhojana. Supreme Personality of Godhead is so worshipable that even the direction that He is in is worshipable. He purifies everything, and everything in relationship with Him becomes as pure as Him. Tadiyanam, His Aradhananam Sarvesham Vishnu Aradhanam Param Tasmat Paratanam Devi Tadiyanam Samarjanam. The things that are in relationship with Him, even His devotees, even though they consider themselves insignificant, humble servants of the servants of His devotee, still they become as worshipable as the Lord. The paraphernalia that He uses, the dust of the ground that He walks on, becomes worshipable. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was passing on His tours, sometimes big holes would be dug in the ground because people were taking the dust for their head. So big holes were coming. Because He's worshipable, and the earth that He walks on becomes worshipable. Everything in relationship with Him. Especially the Dhamma. The Lord, when the Lord comes to the material world, He doesn't come alone, but He comes with His Dhamma, and He brings His associates with Him, and it's like an embassy. When you go into an embassy, even though the embassy is situated in a different country, that embassy inside it is the same as being in the country of the embassy. In fact, sometimes people try to take shelter there to avoid being prosecuted by local laws. If they're a member of of that embassy's country, they go in and they're not subject to the laws of the local host nation. So that's the same point. If one goes to the Dham, he's not subjected to the laws of the host environment, namely the material world. He's taken shelter of the spiritual world, and therefore he's free. Whatever he may have done, he may have been guilty. Oh, this person, he did this, he did that, that's all right, he's here now. He's not responsible. That's what it means to take shelter of Krishna, isn't it? Sarva dharman parichaja mamekam sharanam braja ahang tvang sarva papebhyo mokshayishami ma shucha. He's free from all reactions, whatever sinful activities he did. Krishna says, I take care of them. He can do that. He is above everyone. He's above all the rulers. You may say, what about Yamaraj? Oh, Yamaraj is afraid of Krishna. When Krishna went to Yamaraj's abode, blew his conch shell, Yamaraj was frightened. He came out with the greatest humility, bowing very low. Yes, my Lord. What have I done wrong? What can I do to serve you? Even Yamaraj, death personified, is afraid of Krishna. So, if Krishna gives immunity, then no one can overrule it. No one can say that this person is guilty anymore. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that apichet sudaracharo bhajate mam ananyabhak sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito isa. Even if one commits an abominable activity, if he's engaged in devotional service, he's not to be considered sinful. He's because Krishna in the heart will purify him, and very quickly he'll become righteous. So one should not hold the past activities of a Vaishnava. He may have done so many things before, but now he's Krishna's, he's Vishnu Jana, he's one of Krishna's people, and he's no longer to be considered what he was before. He may have so many things. If he's actually engaged in devotional service, then he's free. He's been given clemency by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, what hope is there for at least some of us who are born into materialistic civilization, engaged in material activities? How can we become brahmanas or sannyasis or Vaishnavas? How is it possible? Only if Krishna and the spiritual master, they give us shelter and free us from our past sinful reactions. So, now this Dhamma, someone may say, well, I believe it, that it was transcendental when Krishna was present, but I don't believe it that it's still transcendental, because if you go there now, you see there's trucks coming here and there, and there's rubbish on the ground sometimes, and etc. So, it was transcendental then, but unfortunately the material energy has overruled it. No. It's not overruled, it's just that it's overruled my eyes, and I'm not able to see. It's transcendental. Of course, we have a resident of Vrindavan here. He can speak on this point. But am I correct in saying that? Is that correct? That it's still considered to be transcendental? If we see it as material, then that's our own discrepancy, that's our own defect. But for those who have completely transcendental vision, they know that the Lord is still present here eternally in the Dham, and His pastimes are going on. Last night we were talking about, the question was asked about temples. Why did Prabhupada establish temples? The question was, couldn't he have put energy? He put a lot of energy in these temples. Couldn't he have put the energy into something else that might have been more effective? So we were saying that these temples are also dhams. They're not different than the dham, because Krishna is residing here. And therefore, if one comes and takes shelter at the temple, he's taking shelter of the dham. It's as good as Vrindavan Dham. In fact, Prabhupada said it was Vrindavan Dham, these temples, or Vaikuntha. Otherwise, we would all, pack up and get on a flight to India and go to Vrindavan there. But these temples are the same. Exactly the same. Therefore, one who's serving in the temple, in the Dham, he's protected. He's not in the material world. He's not in London. Thank Krishna that we're not in London. Imagine being in London. Prabhupada said it's hell, right? You believe that? Okay. So, we're thankful that we're not in London, or we're not in America, or even Calcutta. We want to be in Vaikuntha, with Krishna, and that's why we take shelter of the temples. That's why Prabhupada established them, first of all. And the deity, and everything here is meant to be for the pleasure of the deity. When someone comes in, they pay their obeisances to the Lord. The singing is all His names. We don't chant someone else's names, not even demigods' names. We don't even chant demigods' names, because in Vaikuntha, everyone is meant to worship Krishna. For example, there's a nice story about this, that once in the heavenly planets, the demigods had organized Harinam Sankirtan, and they were going around, and there was one very beautiful young man who was surrounded with very beautiful young women, and he was enjoying himself like anything. And when the kirtan party came, he started singing songs glorifying the demigods. Because of that, he had to fall down to the material world. His next birth, he had to take the birth in the family of Shudrani. That was Narad Muni in his previous life. So just see, even the heavenly planets, one cannot even stay there. They were insulted. The demigods, they were glorifying the Lord, and he was glorifying the demigods, so he was not fit to stay there. What to speak of Vaikuntha? What to speak of Goloka, Vrindavan? So, everything in the Dham is for the pleasure of the Lord. All the actions should be for giving the Lord pleasure. Cleaning the Lord's temple. Shivigraha radhana nitanana shringaratan mandira marjanado. Temple should be spotlessly clean, shining. Every inch of the Dham. It's the duty of the servants to do that, to make sure. And when the guests come, they're to be treated as very special guests. They've come to see the Lord. It's like if you were the secretary or the servant of some prime minister, and someone came to see the prime minister, so you would treat them very respectfully, show them nice care. And I know they do that here. That's why you get so many guests, because you give them nice treatment. They feel welcome. So this is nice. And then they come and they get a transcendental experience because they've come to the Dham, to the holy. They've had an excursion. They're not just coming here on an ordinary excursion from their schools, but they're coming here. They're really getting an excursion to the spiritual world. And that taste, that experience will remain with them. Oh, it's a wonderful opportunity. We want everyone to have the best opportunity they can when they come to the Holy Dham. And so they'll want to come again and again and again. And eventually, they'll develop a desire to go back and live in this Dham, either here or in the spiritual world. Now, another thing is that, what about when we go on Sankirtan, when we leave the Dham? Are we endangered? Are we in a dangerous situation? In one sense, you could say yes, because we are venturing out into enemy territory. Not enemies in the strict sense of the term, but it's Maya's territory, and Maya is, we are supposed to declare war on Maya, is it not? Isn't that so therefore we can say it's enemy territory, because she's got, everywhere other than the Dham is her place. Therefore we are venturing out into enemy territory to a certain extent. But if we take the Dham with us, how do we do that? We have to dig up and fill up the van with the Dham. It's not, no. We take the Dham in the form of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Holy name and Krishna and his Dhamma, they're non-different. So we take the holy name out with us, and we're still in the Dham. We're protected. We're not in the material energy. We won't be affected by the things that are going on out there, the sounds. Therefore, in this age, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is the most important activity that one can perform. It's even more important than visiting holy places. Visiting holy places is certainly a wonderful activity. But for one who's chanting Hare Krishna and engaged in devotional service, he's already visited all the holy places. It's described in the Bhagavatam that he's performed all the austerities, he's taken his bath and all the holy, now he's chanting the holy name. Namatubhyam. So, there's nothing more. He doesn't have to do anything actually, except go on chanting, and he's already preparing himself for going back to Godhead. He's already studied the Vedas. How can you say he studied the Vedas? Someone who's known as a Pandit means he studied all the Vedas, he's expert in all the... Does it mean then that everyone has to study Sanskrit and become an expert Pandit in Sanskrit? No, it's not required. Why not? Because if one surrenders to Krishna, he's come to the conclusion of the Vedas. Vedaishta sarvaraham vedyo vedantakrit veda vedeva. By the Vedas, by all the Vedas I am to be known. If one knows Krishna or surrenders to Krishna, he has come to the conclusion of all the Vedic literature. Therefore he's the best Pandit. He may not know Sanskrit. That's all right. He may not know how to write his name. That's okay. If he's surrendered to Krishna, he's a Pandit. And therefore it's said that Shatkarma Viparo, Shatkarma Nipano Vipro Mantra Tantra Visharada Avaishnavo Gurur Nasyat Vaishnavo Swapacho Guru. if one is a Brahmana and who's expert in the 6 activities of the Brahmanas, but he's not a Vaishnava, he cannot become a guru. But if one is born in a family of dog eaters, it's the lowest. They eat everything. But still, he's a Vaishnava, he can become a guru. This is the principle of Vedic knowledge. So whether we're living in we should be living in the temple, and if we can't live in the big temple, then we can live in the little temple in our homes. We can make our temple another replica of the temple. Just like the temple is a replica of the holy Dham Vrindavan or Vaikuntha. So if I can't live in the temple, the big temple, I can have a little temple in my home, and that'll also become a replica of the other Dham. And then when I leave the Dham, then I take the Hare Krishna mantra with me, and I go out and serve Krishna in whatever situation I'm in. Just like Advaitacharya, he said to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that wherever you are, my Lord, that is Vrindavan. So that goes for Lord Chaitanya, but it also goes for the devotees who are following in his footsteps, spreading the Sankirtan. So wherever we go for Sankirtan, and everything we do should be for the Sankirtan movement. Even if we're working at a job, we should consider that I'm working at this job. Why? So I can give money to the Sankirtan movement. Prabhupada did that in the beginning. In the beginning there was no money. So Prabhupada even sent out some of the brahmacharis to jobs. And they were working at the welfare office, completely mundane activity. Nothing, there's no redeeming qualities to working in a welfare office. But they were bringing home their pay and giving it to Prabhupada for the Sankirtan movement. So we should think like that. Everything we do should be for the Sankirtan movement. Maybe Krishna and the Vaishnavas have given me the responsibility to spend this money for Krishna, but I have to make sure I spend it for Krishna. If I spend it for mundane things, extravagancies, then I'm not using it for Krishna and I'm not serving the Sankirtan movement. But if I use it for food that's offered to the deity, for maintaining a residence, temple, dham, for training my children how to be pure devotees, then that's all right. For driving, for paying for an automobile that drives me to the dham temple, then this is Sankirtan. So I'm working, but I'm on Sankirtan. That's how we can expand this idea of dham. Thank you very much. Any questions?